Hey everyone, welcome back to Project Station. In today's video, we are going to learn how do we make components reusable. Because reusable components are the real power of React and they help us build UI faster and cleaner. So let's get started. To understand this better, let me ask you something. Imagine you are building a website and you need multiple buttons like save, cancel, delete or login. Now tell me honestly, are you going to write separate button code again and again? Something like this? Of course not, right? That would become messy very quickly. So instead, React gives us better idea. Create component once and reuse it everywhere you want. This is called reusable component. Now let's build a simple button component. For now, I will keep it in the same file. In the next video, we will move it to separate one. Add function button and simply return HTML button element with text click me. Now inside the app component, let's use this custom button component we just created. Let's reuse it two more times. I'm adding BR tag so it will render on next line. Now quickly start the server and verify this on browser. Okay, navigate to project directory and run npm run dev. Yeah, it works perfectly. But here is the issue. All three buttons are showing the exact same text. Click me. So the component is reusable, but it's not flexible yet. And that's where props help us. Props are the way to pass data into a component so it can show different output based on the values it receives. To understand props better, think them just like function parameters in JavaScript. Let me show you a quick example. Imagine we have a function called greet. This function takes one input, a name, and it returns a greeting message. Now when I call this function with different values, we will get hello John and hello Robert. So if we see here, the function is the same, the logic is also same, but the output changes based on the input we pass. React components work in the same way. A component can receive input using props, and based on those props, it can display different UI. To make this component dynamic, we can simply add custom attribute to this custom component. So this is your component and it's entirely up to you which attribute you wanna set on this. Here I will start by adding label attribute and I will set it equal to save. In React, we call this attribute a prop. Now we have set the data, we can actually access this data in component function by props. This props parameter is set by React and React will pass a value for this parameter. It will be an object that contains all the values you pass to a component in key value pairs. And therefore, in the component function, you can access props.label. And with this, if you save everything, you will see the first component with the label showing on a screen. And you can now use that same component in different places with different data. Here, let's add label is equal to cancel and here label equal to delete. Yes, it works perfectly. We added one reusable button component and we are changing its output just by passing different values for label. And that is exactly what makes React components reusable. Now one small improvement. Right now we are accessing the prop using props.label and this is totally fine. But in real projects, components receive multiple props. So if we keep writing props.label, props.variant or props.disabled, it can become a little repetitive. So we can use another JavaScript feature here, object destructuring. By adding opening and closing curly braces here, we can destructure props parameter. Object destructuring simply means that we can target the different properties of the incoming object by name. So we have to use the exact same word here between these curly braces. Then JavaScript will go ahead and give us these properties as a standalone variable in this function. Therefore, we can output the label by just pointing at label. This looks much cleaner and professional. Alright, now let's make this button component even more useful for real applications. Because in real apps, not every button looks or behaves the same. Some buttons represent the main action, some are secondary, and few are dangerous. And instead of styling these by passing raw colors directly, we usually define these as button variants, just like Bootstrap. So now let's build the same variant based button in React. Inside the component function, add variant here. We can use template string to interpolate this variable in the string to add dynamic CSS class. I am keeping the base class button and adding variant class with button prefix. So the class attribute will become something like button space button dash primary. Now with this change, we can pass variant while rendering this component. I am adding variant primary. Here we can use secondary and for delete we can use danger. Now if I save this and check, nothing changes yet because we haven't added the CSS. So let's quickly define the styles. Open app.css. Here add button class, padding 10 px vertically and 20 horizontally, border none, border radius 4 pixels. For now, add margin from top so it will look properly with some space on screen. For button primary, add background color blue and text color white. For secondary, use background color gray with text color black. For danger, add background red with text color white. Alright, now save the file and check on browser. So with the same reusable button component, we can control the style just by changing the variant prop. Alright, so with this approach, we now have one reusable button component. And we can change its label and style just by passing different props. Now let me quickly tell you why this matters in real applications. As your app grows, you will have buttons and components used in many different places. And in future, if you need to improve something like adding a loading state or disabling the button during an API call or adding a confirmation for delete. You don't want to update that logic in multiple files. With reusable components, you make the change once inside the component and it will automatically work everywhere the component is used. And that's why reusable components are such an important part of React development. So that's it for this video. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like and subscribe to Project Station for more React lessons. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.